Story 1: The Night Streets of Stone. You are walking slowly through the empty streets of an ancient city at night. The stone beneath your feet is smooth, worn by countless footsteps over countless years. Each stone fits perfectly against the next, creating a path that has been here longer than memory, longer than story, a path that will remain long after this night has passed. Your footsteps echo softly in the quiet, a gentle sound that doesn't disturb the stillness but becomes part of it. The air is warm, pleasantly warm, the kind of warmth that lingers after a long day of sun. The heat that soaked into the stone walls during the day now radiates back out into the night, creating a gentle warmth that surrounds you as you walk. There is no wind, or almost no wind, just the faintest movement of air, so subtle you barely notice it, just enough to remind you that the world is breathing slowly around you. Above you, the sky is dark, deep and dark, filled with stars. The stars are brighter here than you've ever seen them, sharp points of light scattered across the darkness in patterns that seem both random and intentional. The moon hangs somewhere above the rooftops, though you can't see it directly from where you walk. You can see its light, though soft silver light that adds to the glow of the lanterns, making everything visible in shades of gold and silver and shadow. Lanterns hang along the street at intervals, suspended from iron brackets attached to the stone walls. The lanterns are simple, made of metal and glass, and inside each one burns a small flame. The flames are steady, barely flickering, protected from the gentle night air by the lantern glass. The light they cast is warm and golden, pooling on the stones beneath them, reflecting off the walls, creating circles of soft illumination in the darkness. The buildings on either side of the street are made of stone, pale stone that looks almost white in the moonlight, golden in the lantern light. The walls are thick and solid, built to last, built to stand through time. The surfaces are textured, slightly rough, marked here and there by the passage of years. Some walls are smooth, others show the individual marks of the tools that shaped them. You reach out as you walk and let your fingertips brush against the stone. It's warm from the day's sun, and the texture is pleasant against your skin. The street is narrow, not cramped but intimate, wide enough for two people to walk side by side with room to spare, narrow enough that you can almost touch both walls if you stretch out your arms. The narrowness makes the space feel safe, enclosed, protected. Above you, the buildings lean slightly toward each other, and their roof lines create a dark corridor through which you can see the strip of starlit sky. Every door you pass is closed. The doors are made of dark wood, thick and heavy, fitted carefully into their stone frames. Some doors are smooth, others are decorated with simple carvings or iron fittings. Each door is shut firmly against the night, and behind each door, people are sleeping, resting in their homes, safe and warm. The closed doors feel peaceful, not unfriendly, just quiet, just resting. Everyone is inside, and the streets belong to the night, to the silence, to the gentle glow of lanterns. The windows are shuttered. Each window has wooden shutters fitted over it, closed against the darkness, keeping the warmth and light inside the houses. The shutters are simple, made of wooden slats, and they fit snugly into their frames. Here and there, a tiny line of light shows between the slats of a shutter, evidence of a lamp still burning inside, but most windows are completely dark, the shutters closed over darkness, everyone inside already asleep. You continue walking, your pace slow and steady. There's nowhere you need to be, no destination calling you, no reason to hurry. The walking itself is the purpose, the movement through this quiet ancient night, the feeling of the warm stone beneath your feet, the sight of the lantern light on the walls. Each step you take echoes softly, a gentle sound that travels down the empty street and fades into the distance. The echo of your footsteps is soothing. Each step creates a soft sound that bounces off the stone walls, repeating quietly before it disappears. The echo is never loud, never sharp, just a gentle reminder that sound exists in this quiet place, that your presence here makes small ripples in the stillness. You walk slowly enough that each footstep is distinct, separate from the next, giving each echo time to fade before the next one begins. As you walk, you notice the way the lantern light plays on the stone walls. The light doesn't reach everywhere, just creates pools and patches of illumination, leaving other areas in shadow. The shadows are soft, not dark or threatening, just places where the light hasn't reached, part of the natural rhythm of light and dark that fills the night. The contrast between the golden glow and the gentle shadows makes everything feel peaceful, balanced, right. The street curves slightly ahead of you, bending to the left in a gentle arc. You follow the curve, and as you do, new sections of the street come into view while the sections behind you disappear. The curve is gradual, comfortable, and the buildings on either side maintain their steady presence, their stone walls continuing, their shuttered windows following one after another. A small alcove appears in the wall to your right. The alcove is shallow, just a slight indentation in the stone, perhaps once meant to hold a statue or an offering. Now it stands empty, a simple curved space in the wall. A lantern hangs nearby, and its light fills the alcove with golden glow, illuminating the smooth curve of the stone, casting no shadows because there's nothing there to cast them. The alcove passes behind you as you continue walking. The air smells faintly of olive oil and stone dust, of wood smoke and something green, perhaps herbs growing in a pot somewhere, or the scent of distant gardens carried on the gentle air. The smells are subtle, not strong, just hints of scent that come and go as you breathe. They're pleasant smells, comfortable smells, smells that belong to this place and this time. You pass another lantern. This one hangs a little lower than the others, suspended from a bracket that curves out from the wall. The flame inside burns steadily, and you can see it clearly through the glass, a small golden flame that doesn't waver or dance but stands nearly still, giving its light without effort, without drama, just existing and glowing in the quiet night. The warmth of the air wraps around you like a gentle blanket. It's not hot, not uncomfortable, just pleasantly warm, the perfect temperature for walking slowly through empty streets at night. The warmth seems to come from everywhere, from the stones beneath your feet, from the walls around you, from the air itself. It makes you feel safe, comfortable, relaxed. Another door passes on your left. This one has iron studs arranged in a pattern, 3 rows of 3 dark metal against the dark wood. The studs are worn smooth, their surfaces catching a little of the lantern light, gleaming dully in the golden glow. The door is firmly closed, the house behind it silent and still. You wonder in a vague, lazy way about the people sleeping inside, but the thought drifts away as easily as it came. Your footsteps continue their gentle rhythm. Step, echo, silence. Step, echo, silence. The pattern repeats endlessly, a peaceful cadence that matches your breathing, matches your heartbeat, becomes part of you. You don't have to think about walking, don't have to pay attention to where you put your feet. Your body knows what to do, knows how to move through this quiet space, knows how to be part of the stillness. The street widens slightly, opening into a small square. The square is not large, just a widening of the street, a place where several paths meet. In the center of the square stands a fountain, but the fountain is silent now, no water flowing. The fountain is made of stone, carved in simple shapes, and it stands quiet and dry in the night. Around the fountain, the stone pavement is smooth, worn by many feet over many years. Several lanterns hang around the edges of the square, and their combined light makes the space brighter than the narrow street, though still soft, still gentle, still peaceful. You walk to the fountain and stop for a moment, standing beside it. The stone of the fountain is smooth under your hand when you rest it on the edge. The stone is warm, like everything else, warmed by the day and now releasing that warmth slowly into the night. You stand still, just breathing, just being present in this quiet square, listening to the silence, feeling the warmth, seeing the gentle glow of the lanterns. The silence is complete. There are no sounds except the ones you make, your breathing, your slight movements, the soft rustle of your clothes. No one else is in the square. No one else is on the streets. The entire city seems to be sleeping, resting, peaceful in the deep quiet of the night. The silence doesn't feel empty, though. It feels full, rich, complete, as if silence itself is something precious, something worth experiencing. After a time, you begin walking again, leaving the square behind, choosing one of the streets that leads away from it. This street is similar to the first, narrow and lined with stone buildings, lit by lanterns hanging at intervals. The buildings here are perhaps a little older, their stones a little more weathered, but the feeling is the same, solid, peaceful, enduring, safe. The street slopes gently upward. The incline is so gradual you barely notice it, just a slight rise that makes each step require a tiny bit more effort, not enough to be tiring, just enough to be noticeable. As you climb, you can see that some of the lanterns below you, back in the direction you came from, their lights like small golden stars at ground level, marking the path through the sleeping city. A column stands at the corner where two streets meet. The column is tall, reaching up into the darkness, made of the same pale stone as the buildings around it. The surface of the column is carved with shallow grooves, vertical lines that spiral slowly around its circumference as they rise. The top of the column disappears into shadow above the reach of the lantern light. You rest your hand on the column as you pass, feeling its solidity, its permanence, the way it has stood here through countless nights like this one. The buildings here have small balconies, just simple stone platforms that extend slightly from the second floor, protected by low walls. The balconies are empty now, no one standing on them, no plants or furniture visible in the dim light. They're just there, part of the architecture, part of the quiet beauty of these ancient streets. The balconies cast small shadows in the lantern light, adding to the patterns of light and dark on the walls. You continue upward, following the gentle slope. Your breathing remains slow and steady. The warmth of the air fills your lungs with each breath, and you release it just as slowly, creating a rhythm of breathing that matches your walking, both slow, both steady, both peaceful. There's no hurry, no reason to move faster, no destination that matters more than the journey itself. Another lantern hangs ahead, and as you approach it, you notice the way its light makes the stones of the street glow golden. Each stone seems to hold the light, to gather it and reflect it back, making the whole street shimmer softly in the warm illumination. The individual stones vary slightly in color, some more white, some more golden, some with veins of darker mineral running through them. Together, they create a path that feels both natural and intentional, both random and designed. A cat appears suddenly, silently, stepping out from a shadowed doorway. The cat is dark, its fur nearly black, and it moves with the fluid grace that cats possess. It walks across the street ahead of you, unhurried, completely comfortable in this nighttime world. The cat doesn't look at you, doesn't acknowledge your presence, just continues on its own path, disappearing into another shadow on the far side of the street. The appearance and disappearance of the cat feels like a dream, like something that might not have happened at all, but it adds to the peaceful feeling of the night, this sense of life continuing quietly, calmly, without disturbance. The street levels out, no longer climbing, and curves to the right. You follow the curve, and as you do, you notice that the buildings on your left are set back slightly from the street, creating a wider path. In the space between the street and the buildings, there are a few large stones, perhaps meant as benches, perhaps just placed there long ago for some purpose now forgotten. The stones are smooth and dark, and one of them sits in a pool of lantern light, glowing warmly in the golden illumination. You sit down on this stone, lowering yourself slowly, feeling the warmth of the stone beneath you as you settle onto it. The stone is comfortable, its surface worn smooth by weather and time. You rest your hands on your knees and sit quietly, just being still, just breathing, just existing in this peaceful moment. From where you sit, you can see down the street in both directions. In one direction, the street curves away and disappears around a corner, the lanterns marking its path like a string of golden beads. In the other direction, the street slopes gently downward, leading back toward the parts of the city you've already passed through. Both views are equally peaceful, equally quiet, equally empty of movement or sound. The lantern nearest you hangs from a bracket above and to your right. You can see the flame inside clearly from here, the small, steady flame that provides the light. The flame is orange and gold, with a tiny core of blue at its base. It burns without flickering, or almost without flickering, just the slightest movement, barely perceptible, just enough to show that it's alive, that it's consuming oil and wick and air to create this warm light. You sit for a long time, or what feels like a long time, though time here seems to have little meaning. The night continues around you, unchanging. The warmth remains constant. The silence persists. The lanterns continue to burn, their flames steady, their light golden and soft. Nothing happens, and that's perfect, exactly right, exactly what this moment needs. Eventually, you stand up slowly, feeling the way your muscles move as you rise from the stone. You begin walking again, continuing along the street, following it as it curves and slopes, passing under the lanterns, moving through the pools of light and the gentle shadows, your footsteps echoing softly in the warm night air. The buildings continue on either side, their stone walls solid and reassuring. Some buildings are taller, some shorter, but all have the same quality of timelessness, of having stood for a very long time and being prepared to stand for a very long time more. The stones fit together perfectly, each one placed precisely, each one supporting the others, creating walls that will not fall, will not crumble, will stand through this night and countless nights to come. A narrow alley opens to your right, too narrow to be called a street, just a passage between buildings. You can see a few steps into the darkness of the alley, can see that it's lit by a single small lantern hanging far down its length. The alley disappears into shadow, leading to some other part of the city, some other quiet street. You don't turn down the alley but continue straight, staying on your current path, letting the alley pass by. The shuttered windows continue to pass, one after another. Each window is different, some larger, some smaller, some higher on the wall, some lower. But all are shuttered, all are closed, all are silent. Behind these shutters, families are sleeping, children are dreaming, elders are resting. The whole city is at rest, and you walk through this resting city like a gentle ghost, observing but not disturbing, present but not intrusive. Another small square opens up ahead, this one even smaller than the last, barely more than a widening of the street. In this square, there are no fountains, no monuments, just an open space where the buildings step back slightly, creating room to breathe, room to pause. A single large stone sits in the center of the space, too large to be a bench, too small to be a monument, just a stone, smooth and pale, glowing in the light of the lanterns that hang around the square. You walk across the square, your footsteps louder here in the more open space, echoing off the walls that surround the square on all sides. The echo is different here, more complex, bouncing and rebounding until it fades into the silence. You reach the far side of the square and choose another street, another path leading away into the quiet city. This street is narrower than the others, so narrow that you could easily touch both walls if you stretched out your arms. The lanterns here hang lower, closer to your head, and their light seems brighter because the narrow walls reflect it back and forth, concentrating the illumination. The street feels cozy, intimate, safe, like walking through a corridor in an ancient home. The stones of the walls here are slightly different in color, more golden than white, as if they're made of a different type of stone, or as if the lantern light is stronger here, painting everything in warmer tones. The walls are close enough that you can see their texture clearly, the slight roughness of the stone, the tiny variations in color, the places where one stone meets another. A small niche appears in the wall to your left, carved into the stone. The niche is shallow, perhaps meant to hold a small statue or lamp. Now it's empty, just a curved indentation in the wall, smooth and shadowed. As you pass, your shadow falls across the niche, momentarily darkening it completely, then passes on, and the dim light returns to it. The narrow street begins to descend, sloping gently downward. The descent is gradual, comfortable, requiring no effort, just a slight change in the angle of your walking. As you descend, you can feel the way gravity helps you along, making each step a little easier, a little more effortless. You don't walk faster, just let yourself move with the slope, descending at the same peaceful pace you've maintained all along. The air moves slightly as you walk, stirring gently around you, not enough to be called wind, just a subtle movement, a gentle current that brushes past you so softly you barely feel it. The movement of air brings with it faint scents, stone and smoke, oil and herbs, the smell of night itself, if night has a smell, which it seems to hear in these ancient streets. Another door passes, this one different from the others. This door is painted, or was painted once, though the paint has faded and peeled over time. You can still see hints of blue in the cracks and corners, evidence of when this door was new, when someone cared enough to paint it a cheerful color. Now the door is mostly bare wood again, dark and weathered, but the traces of blue remain like a memory of brightness, like a whisper of color in the golden light. The street widens again as it descends, opening up gradually until it's nearly twice as wide as before. With the extra width comes extra lanterns, more light, more illumination spreading across the stones. The increased light makes everything more visible. You can see the individual stones more clearly, can see the texture of the walls, can see the details of the shuttered windows and closed doors. A vine grows on one of the walls, climbing up the stone, reaching toward the roofline. The vine is ancient, its main stem as thick as your wrist, gnarled and twisted with age. Smaller branches spread out from the main stem, clinging to the wall, following the spaces between stones, finding cracks and crevices where they can hold on. The leaves of the vine are dark in the night, barely visible, but you can see them rustling very slightly in the gentle movement of air, a soft whisper of leaf against leaf. You stop and look at the vine for a moment, reaching out to touch one of the leaves. The leaf is smooth and slightly cool, and it moves gently at your touch, then settles back into place when you take your hand away. The vine has been here for a very long time, you can tell, has climbed this wall through many seasons, many years, perhaps even many lifetimes. It's part of the building now, as much a part of it as the stones themselves. Walking again, you continue down the sloping street. Your shadow moves with you, stretching long on the stones ahead when you pass under a lantern, then shortening, then disappearing briefly in darkness, then stretching again as you approach the next light. The rhythm of light and shadow becomes another pattern in the night, another gentle repetition that requires nothing from you except to notice it, to experience it, to let it be part of the peaceful journey through these quiet streets. The street ends at a junction with another street, this one running perpendicular to your path. You can go left or right, and you choose left, turning slowly, following the new street as it leads you deeper into the sleeping city. This street is level, neither climbing nor descending, just running straight and true between the buildings on either side. Here the buildings are slightly different in character. They're still made of stone, still ancient and solid, but they have larger doors, wider windows, suggesting different purposes. Perhaps these are not homes, but workshops or storerooms or public buildings of some kind. The shutters on these windows are heavier, more solid, and the doors are broader, as if made to accommodate the passage of goods or equipment, not just people. A wooden beam extends from one building, protruding over the street. The beam is thick and dark, and from it hangs a sign, though the sign is too dark and too weathered for you to read what it says. The sign moves slightly in the gentle air, creaking softly, the sound barely audible but adding to the quiet soundscape of the night. Your footsteps, the faint creak of the sign, the occasional rustle of leaves, the deep silence underneath it all. You pass another alcove, this one larger than the others you've seen. This alcove is deep enough to stand in, a sheltered space carved into the wall, its entrance framed by two small columns. The alcove is empty, its floor smooth stone, its walls plain. A lantern hangs near the alcove, and its light fills the space with golden glow, making it look warm and inviting, a place to rest, a place to wait, though for what or for whom you don't know. The street curves gently to the right, and you follow the curve, moving with the natural flow of the path, letting it guide you. The curve brings you around until you're heading in a completely different direction than before, though you're not concerned with directions, not thinking about north or south or where you started or where you're going. The journey itself is the point, the movement through this peaceful night, the experience of stone and light and warmth and silence. Another cat appears, this one lighter in color, gray or perhaps tan, hard to tell in the golden lantern light. The cat sits on a low wall, watching you approach. Unlike the first cat, this one looks directly at you, its eyes reflecting the lantern light, glowing slightly. You stop a few steps away from the cat, and for a moment, you and the cat simply regard each other, two beings awake in the sleeping city, sharing the quiet night. Then the cat looks away, losing interest, and begins grooming itself, licking one paw and rubbing it over its ear. You continue walking, leaving the cat to its grooming, to its own nighttime activities. The warmth of the night remains constant, neither increasing nor decreasing, just present, always there, wrapping around you, keeping you comfortable. You've been walking for a long time now, though you're not tired, not weary. The walking is effortless, requiring no exertion, no strain. Your body moves easily, naturally, as comfortable with walking as with breathing. A set of steps appears in the street ahead, just 3 or 4 steps, rising to a slightly higher level. You climb them slowly, one at a time, feeling the smooth stone under your feet and emerge onto the higher street. From here, you can see over some of the lower buildings, can see the roof lines spreading out in the darkness, can see the sky above, still filled with stars, still deep and vast and peaceful. The higher street is bordered by a low wall on one side, and you walk to this wall and look over it. Below you, you can see another street, lower than the one you're on, running parallel to it. Lanterns mark that lower street, golden points of light stretching away into the distance. The lower street is as empty and quiet as all the others, no movement visible, no sounds rising up to where you stand. You rest your hands on the low wall, feeling the stone beneath your palms. The stone is smooth on top where countless hands have rested before yours, worn down by touch over many years. The surface is pleasant to touch, warm and silky smooth. You stand for a moment looking out over the sleeping city, seeing the rooftops, the streets, the scattered lantern light, all of it peaceful, all of it quiet, all of it resting under the star-filled sky. Turning from the wall, you continue along the street. This street is wider than most you've walked, wide enough for a cart to travel, though no carts are here now, no sign of any vehicles or activity. The width of the street makes it feel more formal somehow, more important, though it's just as quiet and empty as the narrow lanes. The buildings here are grander, their facades more decorated. You can see carved details around the door frames, patterns cut into the stone, geometric designs, and flowing shapes. Even in the dim lantern light, you can see the skill of the ancient craftsmen who carved these decorations, the precision of their work, the beauty they created from simple stone. A covered portico extends from one building, creating a sheltered walkway supported by columns. You walk under the portico, your footsteps echoing slightly differently here, the sound bouncing off the ceiling above as well as the walls to the sides. The portico is cool, noticeably cooler than the open street, and you can feel the change in temperature as you pass through it. The coolness is pleasant, a brief contrast to the warmth, and then you emerge back into the open street, back into the warm night air. The street begins to descend again, sloping gently downward, leading you back to lower levels of the city. You follow the descent, moving easily with the slope, your pace unchanged, still slow and steady and peaceful. The lanterns continue to mark your way, their flames burning steadily, their light warm and welcoming. A fountain appears on your right, set into a wall. Unlike the fountain in the square, this one has water, though just a trickle, a slow drip that falls from a carved spout into a shallow basin. The sound of the water is very quiet, just a soft drip, drip, drip that adds to the night sounds without disturbing the silence. You stop and look at the fountain, watching the water catch the lantern light as it falls, seeing each drop glitter briefly before it joins the small pool in the basin. You reach out and let your fingers trail through the water in the basin. The water is cool, surprisingly cool compared to the warm air, and it feels refreshing on your skin. You lift your wet fingers to your forehead, touching the coolness to your skin, and it feels good, soothing, calming. The coolness fades quickly in the warm air, leaving just a faint dampness behind. Continuing on, you leave the fountain behind, following the street as it turns and descends, winds and straightens, always bordered by the ancient stone buildings, always lit by the golden lanterns, always empty and quiet and peaceful. The night seems endless, and that's good, that's what you want. This sense of timelessness, this feeling that the night will go on forever, that you can walk these streets endlessly without ever reaching an end, without ever having to stop. Another small square appears, this one with a tree growing in its center. The tree is old, its trunk thick and gnarled, its branches spreading wide overhead. Even though the tree is leafless, you can sense its presence, the space it occupies, the way it shapes the square around it. Lanterns hang from some of the lower branches, suspended by chains, and their light filters through the network of branches, creating intricate patterns of light and shadow on the stones below. You walk to the tree and place your hand on its trunk. The bark is rough under your palm, deeply textured, warm from the day's sun. You can feel the age of the tree, the years it has stood in this square, the seasons it has witnessed, the countless people who have passed beneath its branches. The tree is silent, still, at rest like everything else in the sleeping city, but its presence is strong, solid, enduring. Around the base of the tree, the stones are lifted slightly, pushed up by the tree's roots over the years. The disturbance creates a gentle unevenness in the otherwise smooth pavement, a reminder that living things persist even among the stone, that nature continues even in the heart of this ancient city. You sit down at the base of the tree, settling onto the warm stones, resting your back against the trunk. From here, you can see the square spreading out around you, can see the streets that lead away from it in several directions, can see the buildings that border it, their walls golden in the lantern light. The view is peaceful, symmetrical, balanced. Everything is in its right place, including you, sitting here against the tree, part of the quiet scene. The silence deepens as you sit. Without your footsteps to echo in the streets, without any movement on your part, the quiet becomes even more complete. You can hear your own breathing, slow and steady. You can hear the very faint sound of the lantern flames, a whisper of combustion too soft to really be called sound. You can hear nothing else, just silence, deep and rich and full. Time passes unmeasured. You sit against the tree, eyes open, seeing the peaceful square, the golden lantern light, the dark buildings, the strip of starlit sky visible above. Your thoughts are slow and quiet, drifting like leaves on very still water, barely moving, barely there. The warmth surrounds you, the stone supports you, the night holds you. Eventually, you stand again, slowly, feeling the slight stiffness from sitting, feeling it fade almost immediately as you move. You stretch slightly, reaching up toward the tree branches, then lowering your arms. You begin walking again, choosing one of the streets that leads away from the square, another path through the sleeping city. This street is narrow again, intimate, the buildings close on both sides. The lanterns here are spaced further apart, creating longer stretches of shadow between the pools of light. You walk through light, through shadow, through light, through shadow, the rhythm of illumination matching the rhythm of your steps, another gentle pattern in the peaceful night. A wooden door to your right has a small iron grate set into it at eye level, a small window covered with decorative ironwork. You pause and look through the grate, though you can see nothing beyond it except darkness. Whatever is inside that building is completely dark, completely still, giving no hint of its nature or purpose. You move on, leaving the door and its shadowed interior behind. The street curves, climbs, descends, turns, continues. You follow it wherever it goes, not choosing your path, just moving, just walking, just being present in the warm, quiet night. The stone beneath your feet is smooth, the walls beside you are solid, the lanterns above you are bright, and everything is peaceful, everything is calm, everything is exactly as it should be. Another junction appears, and you turn right, following a new street. This one runs between high walls, walls taller than the buildings you've been passing, walls that block the view of anything beyond them. The walls might enclose gardens or courtyards, or they might be the backs of large buildings, you can't tell. The walls are plain stone, undecorated, and they rise up into the darkness, their tops invisible in the night above. The street between these high walls is like a corridor, narrow and straight, stretching ahead for a long distance. Lanterns hang at intervals, and their light reflects off both walls, making the corridor bright, brighter than many of the streets you've walked. Your footsteps echo more noticeably here, bouncing between the close walls, creating a rhythmic sound that accompanies you as you walk. The corridor-like street eventually opens up, the walls ending suddenly, and you emerge into a broader space, a place where several streets meet. This junction is larger than the others, almost large enough to be a plaza, and it's lit by many lanterns, their combined light making the space bright, warm, inviting. In the center of the junction stands a column, tall and elegant, rising up into the darkness. The column is carved with a spiral pattern, a groove that winds around and around as it climbs, creating a sense of movement even though the column is completely still. You walk to the column and place your hand on it, feeling the smooth stone, feeling the groove of the carved spiral under your fingertips. The stone is warm, like everything else, warmed by the day and now slowly releasing that warmth into the night. You stand there for a moment, your hand on the column, part of the scene, part of the quiet junction where multiple streets meet under the stars. The lanterns here cast multiple shadows, your body blocking the light from several different sources at once, creating a pattern of overlapping shadows on the ground around you. The shadows stretch in different directions, some darker, some lighter, creating a radiating pattern with you at the center. You move your arms slightly, and all the shadows move with you, a dark dance on the golden stones. Leaving the column behind, you choose another street, another path leading away from the bright junction into the dimmer corridors of the city. This street slopes upward again, climbing gradually, leading you higher. As you climb, the buildings on either side become smaller, simpler, perhaps homes of poorer families, or perhaps just older buildings from an earlier time. The stone walls are less decorated, more plain, but no less solid, no less enduring. The street narrows as it climbs, becoming barely wide enough for one person, becoming almost an alley. The lanterns are smaller here, and there are fewer of them, creating longer stretches of darkness between the lights. You move slowly through these darker sections, your eyes adjusting, able to see just enough to place your feet safely, to avoid stumbling. The darkness doesn't frighten you. It's just another aspect of the night, another part of the experience, another shade of the same peaceful quiet that fills all these ancient streets. The narrow passage opens onto a small terrace, a flat space on the hillside with a low wall at its edge. You walk to the wall and look out. From this height, you can see much of the city below you, a vast spread of rooftops and streets, all lit by scattered lanterns, all peaceful and still. The view is beautiful in a quiet way, not dramatic or grand, just peaceful, showing the sleeping city spread out in the warm night, showing the patterns of streets and buildings, showing the way humans have shaped this hillside over centuries, creating a place to live, a place to rest, a place to call home. The stars above are brilliant, countless points of light scattered across the darkness. You look up at them, tilting your head back, seeing the vast depth of the sky, the infinite distance to those distant suns. The stars seem very close here, as if you could reach up and touch them, yet you know they're impossibly far away, their light traveling for years to reach your eyes in this moment. The paradox of their closeness and distance is pleasant to contemplate in a lazy, dreamy way. You turn from the wall and continue walking, following a path that leads along the terrace, parallel to the edge. The path is narrow, bordered on one side by the wall and on the other by small buildings, hardly more than rooms, simple structures pressed against the hillside. All the doors are closed, all the windows shuttered, everyone inside sleeping through this peaceful night. The path descends again, leading you back down through narrow passages between buildings, down stone steps worn smooth by countless feet over countless years, down into the lower parts of the city. The lanterns reappear, more frequent here, lighting your way as you descend, step by step, slowly and carefully, feeling each stone beneath your feet before putting your weight on it. At the bottom of the steps, you emerge onto a street you recognize or think you recognize. The streets all look similar: stone buildings, shuttered windows, warm lantern light. But something about this particular curve, this particular arrangement of doors and windows, feels familiar. Perhaps you passed this way earlier, or perhaps it just reminds you of another street. It doesn't matter. The familiarity is comforting rather than confusing, making you feel even more at home in this ancient city, even more part of its quiet nighttime world. You continue walking, your pace unchanged, still slow and steady and peaceful. The night continues around you, unchanging. The warmth remains constant. The silence persists. The lanterns burn with their steady golden flames. Your footsteps echo softly on the smooth stones. Everything is peaceful, everything is calm, everything is perfect in its ancient stillness. A small shrine appears in the wall to your left, a niche with a shelf, though whatever once rested on the shelf is long gone. The niche is empty now, just a shadow within a shadow, a small sacred space that has outlasted its purpose, that remains even though its meaning may have been forgotten. The emptiness of the shrine doesn't seem sad, just peaceful, just part of the natural way that time passes and things change while the essential structures remain. The street continues, and you continue with it, walking through pools of light and gentle shadows, passing closed doors and shuttered windows, moving through the warm, quiet air of this endless night. Your mind is calm, nearly empty of thoughts, just aware, just present, just experiencing each moment as it comes, each step as you take it, each breath as you breathe it. Somewhere in the distance, you hear a sound, so faint you're barely sure you heard it at all. Perhaps it was a door closing softly, or a shutter moving slightly in a breeze you haven't felt, or just the natural settling of ancient stones. The sound comes and goes, leaves no trace, becomes part of the silence again. You continue walking, undisturbed, the sound just a small reminder that the city is alive, that people are sleeping in these buildings, that life continues even in this deep quiet. Another square opens ahead, and you walk into it, crossing the open space, your footsteps echoing off the surrounding walls. The square is empty except for shadows and light, the golden glow of lanterns mixing with the silver wash of moonlight, creating a space that feels both real and dreamlike, both solid and ethereal. You cross the square slowly, taking your time, feeling no need to hurry, enjoying the openness after the narrow streets, enjoying the way your footsteps sound in the larger space. On the far side of the square, you choose another street, another path through the sleeping city. The journey continues, endless and peaceful, leading you deeper into the warm, quiet night, deeper into the ancient stone heart of this place, deeper into the perfect stillness where nothing happens and everything is exactly as it should be, where time seems to stop and the moment stretches out forever, where you walk alone but not lonely through streets that have known countless footsteps, countless nights, countless moments of peace just like this one. The lanterns continue to burn, their flames steady and bright, lighting your way through the darkness, and you continue to walk, slow and steady, through the warm ancient night, through the sleeping city, through the endless, peaceful moment that is this quiet nighttime journey through streets of stone and shadow and soft golden light. Story 2: The Night Path to the Temple. You are walking along a stone path that leads up a gentle hillside. The path is ancient, made of flat stones fitted carefully together, each stone placed by hands long gone, each stone worn smooth by countless footsteps over countless years. The stones are pale, almost white in the moonlight, and they glow softly in the darkness, marking the way up the hill like a ribbon of light. The night air is warm and still. There is no wind, or almost no wind, just the faintest movement of air, so gentle you barely feel it, just enough to remind you that the world is breathing slowly around you. The warmth is pleasant, comfortable, the kind of warmth that makes you want to move slowly, to take your time, to let each moment stretch out and last. Above you, the sky is deep and dark, filled with stars. The stars are everywhere, countless points of light scattered across the darkness in patterns that seem both random and meaningful. The moon is full, or nearly full, hanging above the horizon, large and bright, casting silver light across the landscape. The moonlight is strong enough to see by, strong enough to make everything visible in shades of silver and shadow. On either side of the path, olive trees grow. The trees are old, their trunks thick and twisted, their bark rough and gnarled. The branches spread wide, creating dark shapes against the starlit sky. The leaves are silver green in the moonlight, rustling very softly, so softly the sound is almost imagined, just a whisper of leaf against leaf, a gentle susurration that blends with the quiet breathing of the night. The path climbs gradually, rising up the hillside at an easy angle. The climb requires no effort, no strain, just a gentle, consistent movement upward. Your footsteps make soft sounds on the stones, quiet taps that echo slightly in the stillness. Each step is separate from the next, distinct, giving you time to feel the stone beneath your foot, to sense its texture, its solidity, its warmth. The stones of the path are warm. During the day, they absorbed the sun's heat, and now they release it slowly back into the night air. You can feel this warmth through the soles of your feet, a gentle heat that rises from the ground, that seems to come from the earth itself. The warmth is comforting, reassuring, a reminder that the day's sun will return, that this is just a peaceful pause between one day and the next. The olive trees continue on both sides of the path, their presence steady and calm. Some trees are closer to the path, some further away, creating a rhythm of nearness and distance as you walk. The trunks are twisted in complex patterns, shaped by years of growth, by seasons of sun and rain and wind. Some trunks lean one way, some another, but all are rooted deeply in the rocky soil, holding firmly to the hillside, enduring through time. A low stone wall appears on your left, running parallel to the path for a while. The wall is old, perhaps as old as the path itself, made of stones stacked carefully without mortar, held together by their own weight and by the skill of the builder who placed them. The wall is no higher than your knee, just a simple boundary marking some division in the land. Moonlight catches on the top of the wall, highlighting its irregular surface. The way each stone is slightly different from its neighbors. As you walk, you can smell the scent of herbs growing somewhere nearby. The smell is subtle, carried on the gentle air, thyme perhaps, or rosemary or sage, growing wild on the hillside, releasing their fragrance into the night. The scent comes and goes as you breathe, sometimes stronger, sometimes fainter, a pleasant reminder of the life that grows here, the plants that thrive in this warm climate that have grown on these hills for as long as people have walked these paths. The path curves gently to the right, following the natural contour of the hillside. You follow the curve, and as you do, the view changes. Now you can see back down the hill behind you, can see the path winding down through the olive groves, can see the scattered trees creating patterns of dark and light in the moonlit landscape. In the far distance, you can see a few small lights, perhaps lanterns in a distant village, or perhaps stars reflected in water. It's hard to tell at this distance. Ahead of you, higher on the hill, You can see the faint outline of a structure, dark against the lighter sky. The structure is still far above you, still distant, but it gives your journey a direction, a destination, though the destination matters less than the journey itself. Less than this peaceful walking through the warm night, less than the experience of each step, each breath, each moment of quiet presence on this ancient path. You continue climbing, your pace steady and slow. The path rises, curves, straightens, rises again, always smooth beneath your feet, always clearly visible in the moonlight. The stones are perfectly placed, creating a path that flows naturally up the hillside. That feels as if it grew here rather than being built, as if it's as natural as the trees or the rocks or the hill itself. A large boulder sits beside the path on your right. The boulder is massive, as tall as you are, rounded and smooth, pale gray in the moonlight. The surface of the boulder is weathered, worn by wind and rain over centuries, creating subtle curves and hollows. You stop and place your hand on the boulder, feeling its cool smoothness, feeling its solidity, its permanence. The boulder has been here longer than the path, longer than the trees, longer than memory. It was here before the first humans climbed this hill, and it will be here long after the last human has gone. Beside the boulder, a small flowering plant grows, tucked into a crevice between the boulder and the ground. You can see the pale flowers glowing in the moonlight, small white blooms on thin stems, delicate and beautiful. The contrast between the massive permanent boulder and the fragile temporary flowers is striking, a reminder that both permanence and change have their place, that both endure in their own ways. You continue walking, leaving the boulder behind. The path becomes slightly steeper here, requiring a little more effort, though still easy, still comfortable. Your breathing deepens slightly as you climb, but you're not winded, not tired, just aware of your body working, of your muscles moving, of your lungs filling and emptying with the warm night air. The olive trees thin out as you climb higher, becoming more scattered, giving way to rockier ground. The moonlight is brighter here without the trees' shade, illuminating the path more clearly, showing every stone, every crack, every detail of the ancient way. The brightness makes everything sharp and clear, more real somehow, more present. On your left, you can see down the hillside to a small valley below. The valley is dark, filled with shadow, but you can see the shapes of trees down there, can see the suggestion of a stream, a dark line winding through the darkness. The valley is quiet and still, peaceful in its own way, resting in the night like everything else. The path levels out for a while, running horizontally across the hillside rather than climbing. This section is easier, requiring less effort, and you enjoy the brief respite, the change in the movement of your body, the slight shift in the rhythm of your walking. The path here is bordered on the uphill side by a bank of earth and stone, and small plants grow from this bank, their leaves silver in the moonlight, their shadows dark against the pale earth. A small lizard scurries across the path ahead of you, moving quickly, its tiny feet making no sound you can hear. The lizard disappears into a crack between stones, and you smile slightly, pleased by this small sign of life, this reminder that the night belongs to many creatures, not just to you. The lizard is going about its business, hunting or exploring, living its small life in this ancient place. The path begins to climb again, more steeply now, though still not difficult, still manageable at your slow, steady pace. The stones here are broader, creating shallow steps that rise up the hillside. Each step is wide and shallow, easy to climb, designed for a gradual ascent rather than a steep stairway. You climb these steps one at a time, feeling the slight increase in height with each step, feeling yourself rising higher above the valley below. As you climb, you notice that the air is changing slightly. It's still warm, but there's a new quality to it, a freshness, perhaps because you're higher now, away from the valley, more exposed to the open sky. The freshness is pleasant, invigorating without being cold, making you feel more alert, more present, more aware of the beauty of this nighttime climb. The structure you glimpsed earlier is closer now, more visible. You can see that it's a temple, small and elegant, its columns pale against the dark sky. The temple sits on a flat area at the top of the hill, its form classical and perfect, exactly proportioned, balanced, and harmonious. Even from here, even in the moonlight, you can sense its beauty, its timeless grace. But the temple is still some distance above you, and you continue your slow climb, not hurrying, content to let the journey take as long as it takes. The path continues to rise, and you continue to follow it, placing one foot in front of the other, breathing slowly and steadily, existing in this peaceful moment of movement through the warm night. A flat stone sits beside the path, its surface smooth and level, perfect for sitting. You decide to rest for a moment, lowering yourself onto the stone, feeling its coolness through your clothes. The stone is large enough to sit comfortably, and you settle onto it, resting your hands on your knees, looking out over the landscape below. From this height, you can see far across the valley to the hills beyond. The landscape spreads out below you in shades of silver and black, patterns of light and shadow created by the moonlight and the contours of the land. Here and there, you can see the dark shapes of trees, the pale lines of paths or roads, the distant glimmer of water in a stream or pond. The view is peaceful, vast, timeless, showing a land that has looked this way for centuries, that will look this way for centuries more. Above you, the stars continue their slow wheel across the sky. You've been walking long enough that the stars have shifted slightly from where they were when you began, rotating imperceptibly around the fixed point of the north. The movement is too slow to see, but you know it's happening, that ancient dance of celestial bodies, that vast cosmic motion that continues regardless of human presence or absence. You sit for a long time, or what feels like a long time, just breathing, just being present, just resting on this ancient stone beside this ancient path. The warmth of the night surrounds you. The quiet fills your ears with its rich fullness. The moonlight paints everything in silver and shadow, creating a world that seems both real and dreamlike, both immediate and distant. Eventually, you stand again, slowly, feeling the slight stiffness from sitting fade as you move. You stretch gently, reaching up toward the stars, then lowering your arms. You begin walking again, continuing up the path, climbing toward the temple that waits above. The path becomes even more defined now, the stones larger and more carefully placed, showing more deliberate craftsmanship. You're approaching something important, something sacred, and the path reflects this, becoming more formal, more intentional. The stones fit together perfectly, creating a surface that is completely smooth, completely level, rising in perfectly even steps. Cypress trees appear on either side of the path, tall, dark shapes reaching up toward the sky. The cypresses are ancient, their trunks thick and straight, their branches dense with dark needles. The trees stand like sentinels, marking the way, their presence solemn and dignified. You walk between these trees, feeling small beside their height, feeling the way they frame the path, creating a corridor that leads upward toward the temple. The scent of the cypresses fills the air, a clean resinous smell, sharp and pleasant. The scent is stronger than the herbs you smelled earlier, more present, more immediate. You breathe deeply, drawing the scent into your lungs, and it seems to clear your mind, to make everything sharper, more focused, more vivid. The steps continue, rising steadily. Your legs feel strong, comfortable with the climbing, no strain or tiredness despite the long ascent. Your body has found its rhythm, has settled into the motion of climbing, and the movement feels natural, effortless, right. You climb step after step after step, each one bringing you closer to the temple above. The path emerges onto a flat terrace, a wide open space cut into the hillside. The terrace is paved with large flat stones, perfectly fitted together, creating a smooth surface that glows silver in the moonlight. The terrace is empty, open, a space for gathering, though no one is here now except you. The openness after the enclosed path is striking, and you pause for a moment, taking in the space, the flatness, the sense of arrival. Across the terrace, the temple stands. It's small, intimate, not one of the great temples you might find in a city, but a simple, sacred place, perfect in its proportions. The temple has 4 columns across its front, supporting a triangular pediment. The columns are made of pale stone, fluted with vertical grooves, each column perfectly vertical, perfectly placed. The moonlight catches on the curves of the flutes, creating patterns of light and shadow on the stone. You walk slowly across the terrace toward the temple. Your footsteps echo slightly on the smooth stones, a soft sound that seems loud in the silence. The echo fades quickly, absorbed by the vast open space of the night around you. You move slowly, with respect, approaching this sacred place with the reverence it deserves. The columns of the temple rise before you, tall and elegant. You reach the bottom of the steps that lead up to the temple platform, and you stop, looking up. There are 3 steps, each one broad and shallow, leading up to the temple floor. The steps are worn in the center, slightly hollowed by the passage of countless feet over countless years, evidence of all the pilgrims who have climbed these steps before you. You climb the steps slowly, one at a time, feeling the worn stone beneath your feet. Each step brings you closer to the sacred space, closer to the heart of the temple. You reach the top step and pause, standing between the columns, looking into the space beyond. The interior of the temple is open, roofed but not walled, allowing the moonlight to stream in between the columns. At the far end of the temple space, against the back wall, stands a simple altar, a block of stone carved with shallow decorations. On the altar sits a single oil lamp, burning with a small, steady flame. The flame is the only warm light in this place of moonlight and shadow, a small golden glow in the silver night. You walk slowly between the columns into the temple space. The floor beneath your feet is smooth stone, polished by age and use. Your footsteps are very quiet here, muffled somehow, as if the space absorbs sound, as if speaking loudly would be wrong, inappropriate. The feeling of sacredness is strong here, palpable, a presence that fills the space as surely as the moonlight does. You approach the altar slowly, respectfully. The altar is simple, unadorned except for the shallow carved patterns on its sides, geometric shapes, flowing lines, ancient symbols whose meanings are half forgotten, but whose beauty remains clear. The oil lamp on the altar burns steadily, its flame protected from the gentle night air by a small glass chimney. The flame casts a warm glow on the pale stone of the altar, creating a small pool of golden light in the silver moonlit space. You stand before the altar, looking at the flame, watching it burn. The flame is very still, barely moving, just a steady presence of light and warmth. You can feel the heat of it slightly, even from a few feet away, a gentle warmth that contrasts with the cool night air flowing through the columns. The silence here is complete, profound, deeper than any silence you've experienced on the walk up the hill. The silence seems to have weight, presence, meaning. It's not an absence of sound, but a fullness of quiet, a sacred stillness that invites contemplation, that encourages peace, that offers rest to the mind and spirit. You lower yourself slowly to sit on the floor of the temple, crossing your legs, settling onto the smooth, cool stone. From here, sitting before the altar, you can see out between the columns to the night beyond. You can see the stars, brilliant and countless in the deep sky. You can see the moon, bright and full, casting its silver light across the world. You can see the vast darkness of the valley below, the distant hills, the endless peaceful night. Time stops, or seems to stop, in this sacred space. You sit quietly, breathing slowly, your mind calm and empty, or nearly empty, just a few quiet thoughts drifting through like leaves on still water. The warmth of the lamp reaches you faintly. The coolness of the stone rises from below. The moonlight falls in silver bars through the columns, painting patterns on the floor. Your body is completely relaxed. Your shoulders have dropped, your back is comfortable and straight without effort. Your hands rest easily on your knees. There's no tension anywhere, no tightness, no discomfort, just complete ease, complete rest, complete peace. You could sit here forever, or for just a moment. Time has no meaning in this place, in this sacred quiet. The flame of the lamp burns on, steady and unchanging. You watch it without really watching, your eyes resting on the light, your mind quiet, your awareness spread out to include everything. The flame, the moonlight, the cool stone, the warm air, the vast night, the stars, the silence, all of it together creating this perfect moment of peace. Eventually, you lie down on the cool stone floor, stretching out on your back, looking up at the roof of the temple above you. The roof is shadowed, the beams barely visible in the dimness, but you can sense their presence, their solidity, the way they hold up the structure, the way they've held it up for centuries. The stone floor beneath you is cool and hard, but not uncomfortable, supporting you completely, holding you up, keeping you safe. You close your eyes just for a moment, just feeling the coolness beneath you, the warmth of the air above you, the stillness all around you. Behind your eyelids, you can still see the afterimage of the lamp flame, a small golden shape that slowly fades. You open your eyes again, and the moonlight fills your vision, silver and bright, streaming in between the columns. A slight breeze moves through the temple, so gentle you barely feel it, just the faintest stirring of air. The breeze carries scents with it, cypress, herbs, something floral and sweet, the smell of warm stone and old olive wood. The scents blend together, creating a perfume that belongs to this place, that is unique to this hilltop, this temple, this sacred night. You sit up slowly, moving with the same careful reverence you've maintained throughout your time in this space. You rise to your feet, standing before the altar one more time, looking at the small, steady flame, at the simple stone, at the sacred space you've entered. You feel grateful, though you're not sure to whom or what, just grateful for this place, for this night, for this moment of peace. You turn and walk slowly back between the columns, descending the 3 worn steps, crossing the terrace toward the path that leads back down the hill. The moonlight guides you, bright and clear, showing every stone, every detail of the path. You begin to descend, moving slowly, carefully, your body relaxed and peaceful from your time in the temple. The path leads down through the cypress trees, between the dark sentinels that mark the sacred way. The trees stand silent and still, witnessing your passage, their presence solemn and calm. You walk between them, descending step by step, moving from the sacred space back into the ordinary world, though the peace you found in the temple comes with you, stays with you, fills you even as you descend. The stones of the path are familiar now, known from your ascent. You recognize certain stones, certain turns, certain views, and the familiarity is comforting, making the descent feel easy, natural, right. Your feet know where to step, your body knows how to move, and you descend without effort, without thought, just moving steadily downward through the warm night. The olive trees appear again as you descend, their twisted trunks pale in the moonlight, their leaves silver green and rustling softly. The trees welcome you back, or so it seems, their presence familiar and friendly after the solemn cypress, after the sacred temple space. The path winds between the trees, following the contour of the hillside, descending gradually through the ancient grove. You pass the large boulder again, the one with the small flowers growing at its base. The flowers are closed now, their petals folded for the night, but you remember them, remember their delicate beauty. The boulder stands as it has stood for ages, patient and permanent, marking this place on the hillside. The path continues down, and you continue with it, stepping carefully on the smooth, worn stones, moving through pools of moonlight and patches of shadow where the olive trees create darkness. The descent is peaceful, requiring no concentration, no effort, just the simple movement of walking downhill, of following the path back to wherever it leads. The low stone wall appears on your right now, running parallel to the path, marking the boundary it has marked for centuries. The moonlight catches on the top stones of the wall, highlighting their shapes, their irregular surfaces. The wall is beautiful in its simplicity, in its utility, in the way it divides space without really dividing anything at all. You can see further down the hill now, can see the path winding away into the olive groves below, can see the valley spreading out in the distance. The view is peaceful, showing a landscape at rest, a world sleeping under the moon and stars. Everything is still, everything is quiet, everything is peaceful in the deep, warm night. Your descent continues, slow and steady, unhurried. The warmth of the stones rises through your feet, the warmth of the air surrounds you, and you move through this warmth like moving through water, easy and smooth and natural. The night seems endless, and that's perfect, that's exactly right, because there's nowhere you need to be. Nothing you need to do except continue this peaceful descent through the olive groves, down the ancient path, through the warm, still night. A distant sound reaches you, too faint to identify, perhaps an owl calling, or the wind moving through distant trees, or just the sound of the night itself, the earth breathing in its sleep. The sound comes and goes, barely noticeable, just a small reminder that you're not alone, that the world continues around you, that life goes on quietly in the darkness. The path levels out as you reach the lower slopes, no longer descending but running horizontally through the grove. The olive trees are thick here, close together, their branches creating a canopy overhead that blocks some of the moonlight. The path is dimmer here, more shadowed, but still clearly visible, still easy to follow. You walk through these shadows, unhurried, your eyes adjusted to the dimness, seeing everything you need to see. A small stone structure appears beside the path, a shepherd's shelter perhaps, or a storage place for tools, just a simple building with thick stone walls and a slanted roof. The structure is old and weathered, its stones fitting together without mortar, held by their own weight. The doorway is dark, empty, open to the night. You pause and look at the structure, appreciating its simplicity, its functionality, the way it has endured through time. Continuing on, you follow the path as it winds through the lower groves, between the ancient trees, through alternating patterns of moonlight and shadow. Your footsteps continue their quiet rhythm on the stones, a gentle sound that has accompanied you throughout this entire journey, up and down the hillside, a constant presence like your breathing, like your heartbeat. The path widens slightly, and ahead you can see a small clearing, an open space in the grove where moonlight falls unobstructed. You walk into this clearing and stop, standing in the center of the open space, bathed in silver light. The warmth surrounds you, the quiet fills you, the peace penetrates to your very core. You stand still, just being present, just existing in this perfect moment. Above you, the stars wheel slowly across the sky. Below you, the earth holds you steady. Around you, the night breathes gently. Inside you, everything is calm, everything is still, everything is at peace. You are part of this night, part of this place, part of this ancient land that has witnessed countless nights just like this one, that will witness countless more. The journey continues, but there is no urgency to it, no need to finish or arrive or complete anything. The walking itself is enough, the being here is enough, the experiencing of this warm, quiet night is enough. The path leads on through the olive groves, through the silver moonlight and gentle shadows, and you follow it slowly, peacefully, your mind calm, your body relaxed, your spirit at rest in the deep, quiet heart of this ancient night. Story 3. The Night Garden Behind Stone Walls. You are standing at a wooden gate set into a high stone wall. The gate is old, its wood weathered and smooth, darkened by years of sun and rain. The wood is warm beneath your hand when you reach out to touch it, still holding the heat from the day that has passed. Above the gate, climbing roses grow, their stems thick and gnarled with age, their leaves dark in the night. A few late blooms remain, pale shapes barely visible in the darkness, releasing a faint, sweet perfume into the warm air. The gate opens easily, silently, swinging inward on hinges that have been oiled and maintained for generations. You step through the gate into the garden beyond, and the gate closes softly behind you with a gentle click, a quiet sound that seems loud in the stillness, but fades immediately into the night's silence. The garden is enclosed on all sides by high stone walls. The walls are ancient, made of pale stone that glows softly in the moonlight, each stone fitted carefully against its neighbors, creating surfaces that have stood for centuries. The walls are thick and solid, providing complete shelter from the world beyond, creating a space that feels separate, protected, sacred in its own quiet way. Moonlight fills the garden, bright and clear, casting everything in silver light and deep shadow. The moon hangs directly overhead, full and brilliant, turning the garden into a place of magic and peace. The light is strong enough to see every detail: the texture of the stones in the path beneath your feet, the shapes of the plants around you, the patterns of leaves and branches against the sky. A stone path leads from the gate deeper into the garden. The path is made of smooth, flat stones, irregular in shape but fitted together like pieces of a puzzle. The stones are pale, almost white in the moonlight, and they're warm beneath your feet, radiating the heat they absorbed during the day. The path is wide enough for one person to walk comfortably, narrow enough to feel intimate, personal. On either side of the path, herbs grow in neat rows. You can smell them even without touching them: lavender, rosemary, thyme, sage, their scents released into the warm night air, mixing together to create a perfume that is soothing and familiar. The herbs are silver green in the moonlight, their leaves small and delicate, some fuzzy, some smooth, all perfectly still in the windless night. You walk slowly along the path, moving deeper into the garden. Your footsteps are nearly silent on the smooth stones, just the softest whisper of contact, barely audible. The silence around you is profound, complete, broken only by your breathing and the gentle sounds of your movement. No insects buzz, no animals stir, just deep, peaceful quiet that seems to have weight and presence. The path curves gently to the left, and you follow it, discovering new sections of the garden as you walk. Here, taller plants grow, flowering bushes whose blooms are closed for the night, their petals folded inward, waiting for the sun. The bushes are dark shapes against the pale stone wall behind them, their forms rounded and soft, carefully tended, shaped by pruning over many seasons. A small fountain appears ahead, set into the wall on your right. The fountain is simple, just a carved stone face from whose mouth water once flowed into a shallow basin below. Now the fountain is dry, silent, but beautiful still in its ancient simplicity. The basin is smooth inside, worn by centuries of flowing water, and it glows in the moonlight, a perfect bowl carved from single piece of stone. You stop beside the fountain and rest your hand on the rim of the basin. The stone is cool here, cooler than the path stones, perhaps because it's shaded during the day by the wall above. The coolness is pleasant against your warm palm, a gentle contrast that feels good. You trace your fingers along the smooth curve of the basin's interior, feeling how the water wore it down over centuries, how patient water can shape even stone. Beyond the fountain, the path continues, leading you deeper into the garden's heart. The herbs give way to other plantings: low bushes with small glossy leaves, clumps of ornamental grasses that glow silver in the moonlight, their seed heads nodding gently though there's no breeze to move them. Everything is still, perfectly still, as if the whole garden is holding its breath, waiting, resting. A wooden bench sits beside the path, positioned to face a section of the garden where flowers grow. The bench is simple, made of dark wood, worn smooth by use and weather. You sit down on the bench, settling onto its surface, feeling the slight give of the old wood beneath you. The bench is warm, like everything else in this garden, warmed by the day and now releasing that warmth slowly into the night. From the bench, you can see much of the garden spreading out before you. The paths wind through the space, creating sections and divisions, leading the eye from one area to another. The plants are arranged with care, with attention to height and form and texture, creating a composition that is beautiful even at night, even when most of the flowers are closed and sleeping. The walls surrounding the garden are visible from here, pale and solid, rising up into the darkness. The top of the walls is irregular, showing where stones have shifted or fallen over the years, where nature has begun to reclaim what humans built. Small plants grow in the crevices near the top of the walls. You can see their dark shapes against the lighter stone, life persisting in the smallest spaces. You sit quietly on the bench, your hands resting on the warm wood, your body relaxed and comfortable. The silence deepens around you as you sit, becoming richer, more complete. You can hear your own breathing, slow and steady, and beneath that, or perhaps beyond that, you can hear the deep silence of the earth itself, the quiet of stone and soil and ancient roots. A vine grows on the wall to your left, climbing up the pale stones, spreading across the surface in an intricate pattern. The vine's leaves are dark, creating a tracery of shadow on the moonlit wall. Here and there among the leaves, pale flowers bloom, night-blooming flowers, open to the moon and stars, releasing their perfume into the darkness. The scent reaches you faintly, sweet and exotic, unlike the herbal scents near the gate. After a time, you stand from the bench, moving slowly, and continue along the path. The path leads you to the center of the garden, where a small open space creates a courtyard of sorts. In the center of this space stands a single column, ancient and weathered, perhaps a remnant of some older structure that stood here long before this garden was planted. The column is made of pale stone, similar to the walls, and its surface is carved with shallow grooves, vertical lines that spiral slowly as they rise. The column is not tall, perhaps twice your height, and it stands alone, purposeless except as a focal point, a piece of beauty and history in this peaceful space. The moonlight catches in the spiraling grooves, creating patterns of light and shadow on the stone. You walk to the column and place your hand on it, feeling its coolness, its solidity. The stone is smooth despite its age, worn by weather and time into a surface that is pleasant to touch. You can feel the faint grooves beneath your palm, can trace them with your fingers as they spiral upward. The column has stood here for a very long time, has witnessed countless nights like this one, has been touched by countless hands like yours. Around the base of the column, someone has planted small white flowers. The flowers glow in the moonlight, almost luminous, their petals open to the night. They grow in a perfect circle around the column's base, like an offering, like a crown laid at the feet of something ancient and revered. The flowers are simple, 5-petaled, each petal perfectly formed, and they release a subtle, sweet scent that blends with the other perfumes of the garden. You lower yourself to sit on the ground beside the column, settling onto the smooth stones of the courtyard, leaning your back against the column's cool surface. From this position, sitting on the ground, the garden looks different, larger somehow, the plants towering above you, the walls seeming higher and more protective. The stones of the courtyard are smooth and cool beneath you. They're pleasant to sit on, and you adjust your position slightly, finding a comfortable way to rest. Your legs are stretched out before you, your back is supported by the ancient column, and you're surrounded by the peaceful garden, enclosed by protective walls, bathed in silver moonlight. The sky above is a deep dark blue, almost black, filled with brilliant stars. You tilt your head back against the column and look up, seeing the vast expanse of the heavens, seeing the countless points of light scattered across the darkness. The stars seem very close here in this garden, as if the walls have lifted you up, brought you nearer to the sky, made you part of the celestial sphere. Time passes, though you don't measure it, don't count it, just let it flow around you like water around a stone in a stream. You sit against the column, breathing slowly, your mind quiet and empty, your body relaxed and still. The warmth of the night wraps around you, the silence fills your ears, the moonlight paints everything in silver, and you are part of it all, part of the garden, part of the night, part of the ancient peace that dwells in this place. Eventually, you rise to your feet slowly, moving with the same careful gentleness you've maintained throughout your time in the garden. You stand beside the column for a moment, your hand resting on its surface, then you turn and follow the path as it leads away from the central courtyard, deeper into the garden's far reaches. The path here is bordered by larger plants, small trees, perhaps, or very large shrubs, their forms dark and substantial against the pale walls. The path narrows slightly, becoming more intimate, more enclosed, passing through a corridor of green darkness punctuated by pools of moonlight where gaps in the foliage allow the light through. A small olive tree grows beside the path, its trunk twisted and ancient, its branches spreading wide. The tree is old, very old, perhaps as old as the walls themselves, planted when this garden was first created and tended carefully through all the years since. The bark of the tree is deeply textured, rough and gnarled, and you reach out to touch it as you pass, feeling its roughness, its solidity, its life. The olive leaves are silver in the moonlight, small and delicate, fluttering slightly though there's no breeze you can feel. Perhaps the tree creates its own small movements, its own tiny currents of air as it breathes and lives. The leaves catch the light, reflect it, shimmer gently, creating the impression of movement in the stillness. Past the olive tree, the path opens into another small space, this one dominated by a raised bed of flowers. The bed is rectangular, bordered by low stones, filled with dark earth from which flowers grow. Most of the flowers are closed for the night, but a few remain open, pale blooms that seem to glow with their own light, attracting night-feeding moths, though no moths are visible now, just the flowers themselves, luminous and perfect. You kneel beside the flower bed, lowering yourself slowly to the ground and lean forward to smell the flowers. Their perfume is strong, heady, almost intoxicating, a rich, sweet scent that fills your nose and seems to fill your mind as well. The scent is complex, layered, changing as you breathe, sweet, then spicy, then sweet again, then something darker, richer, more mysterious. The petals of the nearest flower are soft when you touch them gently, softer than silk, almost liquid in their smoothness. The flower doesn't mind your touch, doesn't close or pull away, just remains open, offering its beauty and scent to the night, to you, to whatever creatures might visit in the darkness. You sit back on your heels, your hands resting on your thighs, and simply look at the flowers, at the way they glow in the moonlight, at the perfection of their forms, at the generosity of their blooming, even in the night when most creatures sleep. The flowers seem like a gift, a small miracle, beauty offered freely to the darkness. After a time, you stand and continue along the path. The path curves back now, beginning to lead you toward the gate, though by a different route than the one you entered by. This new section of the garden is different from what you've seen before. Here, grapevines grow, trained along wires attached to the wall, their leaves creating patterns of dark and light. The grapevines are thick and old, their trunks twisted and substantial, their branches reaching out along the wires, heavy with leaves. Among the leaves, you can see the dark shapes of grape clusters, not ripe yet, not ready for harvest, just growing quietly in the warm night. The leaves rustle very softly, the only sound in the garden besides your breathing and footsteps, a gentle whisper that seems like the vines themselves are breathing. A wooden arbor spans the path ahead, covered with more vines, creating a tunnel of green through which you must pass. You walk slowly under the arbor, feeling the slight coolness in the shade, though the shade is barely noticeable in the night. The arbor smells of grape leaves and old wood, a pleasant earthy scent that speaks of growth and time and patient cultivation. Emerging from the arbor, you find yourself in another small courtyard, this one paved entirely with pale stones. In one corner of this courtyard, a fig tree grows, its broad leaves dark and substantial, its branches spreading wide. The fig tree is beautiful in its solidity, in its strength, in the way it claims its space in the corner of the courtyard. You walk to the fig tree and stand beneath its branches, looking up through the leaves at the stars beyond. The leaves create patterns against the sky, dark shapes with the brilliant points of starlight showing through in the gaps. The view is mesmerizing, constantly changing as your eyes move, finding new patterns, new arrangements of dark and light. The trunk of the fig tree is smooth in places, rough in others, and you rest your hand on it, feeling its texture, feeling its warmth. The tree is alive, you can sense it, even though it's still and silent. The tree breathes, grows, lives its long, slow life here in this protected garden, producing fruit season after season, providing shade and beauty and presence. You lower yourself to sit at the base of the fig tree, your back against its trunk, your legs stretched out on the pale stones of the courtyard. From here, you can see back the way you came, can see the arbor draped with vines, can see sections of the paths winding through the garden. Everything is peaceful, everything is still, everything is perfect in its nighttime quietness. The stones of the courtyard are smooth and slightly warm, comfortable to sit on. Your body relaxes completely, melting into the support of the tree, the earth, the stones. There's no tension anywhere, no tightness, no discomfort, just complete ease, complete rest. You could sit here forever or just for a moment. Time has no meaning in this place, in this warm, still night. Your eyes close just for a moment, just to experience the garden without sight, using your other senses. With your eyes closed, you're more aware of the scents, the herbs, the flowers, the grape leaves, the fig tree, all blending together into a complex perfume that is unique to this garden, that belongs nowhere else. You're more aware of the warmth surrounding you, radiating from the stones, from the earth, from the air itself. You're more aware of the silence, that deep, rich silence that fills the garden like water, fills a bowl completely, perfectly. The silence is not empty but full, pregnant with peace, with rest, with the deep quietness of earth and stone and growing things. You breathe the silence in, feel it entering your lungs, spreading through your body, calming every nerve, relaxing every muscle. When you open your eyes again, the garden is still there, unchanged, still beautiful, still peaceful, still bathed in moonlight. The fig tree still shelters you, The stones still support you. The walls still protect you. Nothing has changed, yet something feels different. You feel more settled, more present, more part of this place, as if you've been absorbed into the garden itself, as if you've become another element in its peaceful composition. You stand slowly, reluctantly, feeling that it's time to continue, time to complete your circuit of the garden, time to return to the gate through which you entered. You place your hand on the fig tree trunk one more time, a gesture of gratitude, of farewell. Then you turn and follow the path as it leads away from the courtyard. This section of the path is bordered by low plants, perhaps medicinal herbs or vegetables, growing in neat, orderly rows. The plants are dark and healthy looking, well tended, carefully watered and weeded. Someone cares for this garden with love and attention. You can tell, maintains it as a sacred duty, keeps it beautiful and productive and peaceful. The path curves one final time, and ahead you can see the gate, the same wooden gate through which you entered, though you're approaching it from a different direction now, having made a complete circuit of the enclosed space. The roses above the gate are visible, their pale blooms glowing softly, their perfume reaching you even from here. But you're in no hurry to leave, so you walk very slowly, taking your time, savoring these last moments in the garden. You notice details you missed before, a small spider web stretched between two plants, invisible except where the moonlight catches on its strands, making them glow silver. A smooth, round stone placed beside the path, perhaps as a marker, perhaps just because someone thought it was beautiful. A place where the wall stones are lighter in color, perhaps repaired at some point in the distant past. You reach the gate and stop, turning to look back at the garden one last time. From here, you can see most of the space. The paths winding through, the raised beds, the distant column in the central courtyard, the dark shapes of trees and vines, the pale walls enclosing it all, the vast sky above filled with moon and stars. The garden is perfectly still, perfectly quiet, perfectly peaceful. It will remain here after you leave, continuing its quiet existence, sheltered by its walls, tended by its caretaker, beautiful in daylight and darkness alike. The plants will continue to grow. The fountain will continue to stand dry and graceful. The column will continue to rise in the central courtyard, marking time, marking space, marking this place as special, as sacred in its quiet way. You could open the gate and step through, could leave the garden behind, could return to wherever you came from. But there's no urgency, no need to leave, no pressing reason to end this peaceful time in this peaceful place. The gate remains closed, the garden remains enclosed, and you remain standing here, poised between staying and leaving, existing in this perfect moment of stillness and moonlight and warm night air. The silence deepens, becomes even richer, even more complete. The moonlight seems to grow brighter, more silver, more magical. The perfume of the flowers and herbs intensifies, filling your senses, filling your mind with sweetness and peace. Everything is perfectly balanced, perfectly harmonious, perfectly right. Your hand rests on the gate, feeling its warm, smooth wood, but you don't push it open. Not yet. Perhaps not for a long time. The night is young or old or timeless. It doesn't matter. What matters is this moment, this place, this experience of complete peace in an enclosed garden under a full moon on a warm, still night. The garden breathes around you, slowly, imperceptibly, living its quiet life. The plants grow in their incremental way, molecules shifting, cells dividing, leaves reaching toward the moonlight as they would reach toward the sun. The earth beneath the paths and beds is alive with roots and tiny creatures, with bacteria and fungi, with all the hidden life that makes growth possible. The walls stand solid and patient, doing what walls do, marking boundaries, providing shelter, enduring through time. And you stand at the gate, part of all this, included in the garden's peace, embraced by its protection, held in its ancient stillness. Your breathing matches the breathing of the garden. Your heartbeat slows to the tempo of growing things. Your thoughts quiet to match the silence of stone and soil and leaf. The night continues, endless and perfect, and the garden continues with it, and you continue as well, standing here in this threshold space, neither fully inside nor outside, neither staying nor leaving, just being present, just existing, just breathing the perfumed air and feeling the warmth and seeing the moonlight and experiencing this perfect moment of peace that seems to stretch out forever. That seems to contain all of time within itself. That seems to be exactly what you need. Exactly what the world needs. Exactly what has always been here waiting in this quiet garden behind its stone walls. This place of refuge and beauty and profound restful, calm where nothing happens and everything is perfect. And the night goes on and on and on in its gentle, eternal way. Story 4, The Night Courtyard with Water. You are standing in a small courtyard, enclosed on all sides by pale stone walls. The courtyard is ancient, its stones worn smooth by centuries of weather and time. The walls rise up around you, not too high, perhaps twice your height, creating a space that feels protected and intimate, separate from the world beyond. Above the walls, the night sky spreads out, deep and dark, filled with stars that shine with a steady brilliance. The courtyard floor is paved with smooth, flat stones, fitted together with care, creating a surface that is level and even. The stones are pale, almost white in the moonlight, and they glow softly, as if they hold light within themselves. The stones are warm beneath your feet, still radiating the heat they absorbed during the long, hot day that has passed. In the center of the courtyard, a pool of water lies still and dark. The pool is rectangular, bordered by low stone edges that are smooth and rounded from age and use. The water inside the pool is completely motionless, its surface like glass, reflecting the stars above with perfect clarity. The reflection is so clear that it's hard to tell where the sky ends and the water begins, as if the pool contains its own small piece of heaven. You walk slowly toward the pool, your footsteps making soft sounds on the smooth stones. Each step echoes slightly, a gentle tap that bounces off the courtyard walls and fades into the warm night air. The sound is soothing, rhythmic, a quiet accompaniment to your movement through this peaceful space. The air is warm and still, so still that nothing moves, not even the smallest breath of wind. The warmth wraps around you like a gentle blanket, comfortable and pleasant, making you feel relaxed and at ease. The temperature is perfect, neither too hot nor too cool, just the right warmth for a summer night in this ancient place. You reach the edge of the pool and stop, looking down at the water. The surface is perfectly smooth, undisturbed, reflecting the stars with such clarity that they seem to exist both above and below, creating a double universe, one in the sky and one in the water. The stars in the reflection don't twinkle or move, they just shine steadily, points of light held perfectly still in the dark mirror of the pool. The stone edge of the pool is smooth under your hand when you rest it there. The stone is cool here, cooler than the courtyard floor, perhaps because the water keeps it cool, or perhaps because this stone is shaded during the day. The coolness is pleasant against your warm palm, a gentle contrast that feels good, that grounds you, that connects you to this place. You lower yourself to sit on the edge of the pool, moving slowly, settling onto the cool stone. Your legs dangle over the side, your feet just above the water's surface. You can feel the coolness rising from the water, a slight dampness in the air just above its surface, refreshing and clean. Looking around the courtyard from this seated position, you can see the full extent of the space. The walls enclose it completely, creating a perfect square or perhaps a rectangle, the proportions pleasing and balanced. The walls are made of the same pale stone as the floor, each stone carefully placed, creating surfaces that are textured but smooth, old but solid, weathered but enduring. In one wall, there is a doorway, an arched opening that leads to darkness beyond. The doorway is not closed with a door, just open, showing a dark passage that leads somewhere else, to other courtyards perhaps, or to rooms, or to the street beyond. But the darkness of the doorway looks peaceful, not threatening, just another shade of the night's quietness. Small plants grow in terracotta pots placed at intervals around the courtyard's perimeter. The pots are simple, unglazed, the color of red earth, and they hold herbs or small flowering plants. You can smell the herbs faintly, mint perhaps, or basil, their scents carried on the still air, mixing with the clean smell of the water, creating a pleasant blend of growing things and coolness. A climbing vine grows on one wall, its stems spreading across the pale stone, creating patterns of dark green against the light surface. The vine is ancient, its main stems as thick as your wrist, woody and gnarled with age. The leaves are dark in the night, their shapes clearly visible against the wall, each leaf perfectly formed, slightly glossy, catching the moonlight in subtle ways. You look up at the sky above the courtyard. The moon is not visible from here. Perhaps it's behind one of the walls, or perhaps it has already set, but its light remains, a general brightness in the sky, a silvery glow that makes everything visible. The stars are brilliant, uncountable, spreading across the darkness in patterns both familiar and strange. You recognize some constellations, or think you do, but you don't name them, don't try to organize them, just let them be points of light in the darkness, beautiful in their randomness. The silence in the courtyard is profound. There are no sounds except the ones you make. Your breathing, the soft rustle of your clothes when you move, the occasional small sound of your hand touching stone. No insects buzz, no animals call, no distant voices carry over the walls. The silence is complete, and it feels like a presence, like something you can almost touch, thick and rich and peaceful. You turn your attention back to the pool, to the still water and its perfect reflection of stars. The water is so clear that you can see into it, can see the bottom of the pool, which is lined with small pale tiles creating a pattern that's barely visible in the dim light. The tiles are smooth and regular, covering every surface of the pool's interior, making it watertight, making it beautiful. Slowly, carefully, you remove your footwear and set it aside on the courtyard stones. The stones feel good beneath your bare feet, warm and smooth, their texture pleasant against your skin. You lower one foot toward the water, moving slowly, and touch your toes to the surface. The water is cool but not cold, refreshing without being shocking. The coolness is exactly what you need after the warmth of the air, a perfect contrast, a gentle relief. You lower your foot into the water, feeling it rise around your ankle, your calf, cool and clean and pure. The water feels silky, soft, almost like touching nothing at all. You lower your other foot into the water, and now both legs are submerged to mid-calf. The cool water surrounding them, easing any tiredness, any tension. You move your feet slightly, and the water moves with them, responding to your movement, though you try to move gently, not wanting to disturb the perfect mirror of the surface, not wanting to scatter the reflected stars. But the movement you made, small as it was, creates ripples. The ripples spread outward from where your legs enter the water, moving in perfect circles, expanding, overlapping, creating patterns on the surface. The reflection of the stars breaks apart, fragments, shimmers, then slowly settles back as the ripples fade, as the water returns to stillness. You sit very still now, letting the water become completely calm again. It takes time, longer than you might expect, for every small ripple to fade, for every disturbance to disappear, for the surface to become perfectly smooth once more. You watch the process, patient, calm, finding it peaceful to observe the water's return to stillness, to watch the reflection of the stars reform, becoming sharp and clear again. When the water is completely still once more, you simply sit, your legs in the cool water, your hands resting on the stone edge of the pool, your body relaxed and comfortable. The coolness of the water seeps into your legs, travels upward through your body, mixing with the warmth of the air, creating a perfect balance of temperature, a perfect state of physical comfort. Time passes, though you don't measure it. You sit by the pool, sometimes looking at the water, sometimes looking up at the stars, sometimes closing your eyes and just feeling the coolness of the water, the warmth of the air, the smooth stone beneath your hands, the profound silence filling the courtyard. The stones of the courtyard floor create patterns where they meet, irregular lines that wander across the surface, mapping the careful work of whoever laid them, perhaps centuries ago. The patterns are random, but somehow pleasing, creating a texture across the floor that is interesting to look at, that draws the eye, that makes you appreciate the craft of ancient builders who cared about beauty as well as function. You notice a small detail in the wall across from you, a stone that is slightly darker than the others, perhaps a different type of stone, or perhaps one that was added later to repair damage. The difference is subtle, barely noticeable, but once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, and it becomes part of your understanding of this space, another small story written in stone. After a long, peaceful time, you lift your legs from the water, slowly, feeling the coolness of the air on your wet skin, feeling the water drip from your feet and calves back into the pool. The drips create small sounds, gentle plops as they hit the water's surface, and you watch the ripples form again, spreading outward, disturbing the reflection once more. You sit on the edge of the pool with your wet legs stretched out on the warm stones, letting them dry in the warm air. The warmth feels good on your cool skin, and you can feel the water evaporating, slowly, naturally, the coolness gradually fading as your skin warms again. The stones beneath your legs begin to darken slightly where the water touches them, creating temporary marks that will fade as the stones dry. Standing slowly, you walk barefoot across the courtyard, feeling the warm, smooth stones beneath your feet. The sensation is pleasant, grounding, connecting you to the ancient floor, to the earth beneath it, to this place. You walk to one of the terracotta pots and kneel beside it, looking at the plant growing there. The plant has small, round leaves, slightly fuzzy to the touch when you gently brush your fingers against one. The leaf is soft, cool, alive, growing quietly in its pot, doing what plants do, breathing, growing, existing in its simple, patient way. The pot itself is slightly rough, its surface textured, warm from the day, and you rest your hand on its curve, feeling its solidity, its weight, its purpose. Rising again, you walk slowly around the perimeter of the courtyard, your bare feet making almost no sound on the smooth stones. You trail your hand along the wall as you walk, feeling the texture of the stone, the slight variations in surface, the warmth held in the wall, the solidity that has endured through time. The vine on the wall is within reach, and you pause to touch it, feeling the woody stems, the smooth leaves. The vine is alive, you can sense it, even though it seems completely still. Inside these stems, sap flows slowly, imperceptibly. Inside these leaves, processes occur, molecules transform, life continues in its quiet way. The vine has been here a long time, has climbed this wall over many seasons, has weathered sun and rain and wind, has endured. You complete your circuit of the courtyard and return to the pool, sitting down on its edge again, this time with your legs folded, not entering the water, just sitting beside it. From here, you can see the entire courtyard, can see all four walls, can see the doorway with its dark passage beyond, can see the pots with their plants, can see the vine on the wall, can see the pool with its still water reflecting stars. Everything is peaceful, perfectly peaceful, held in a moment that seems eternal, that seems to exist outside of time. The warmth surrounds you, the silence embraces you, the stars shine above and below in the water, and you are here, present, aware, at peace. You lie back on the courtyard stones, stretching out on your back, looking straight up at the sky. The stones are warm beneath you, supporting your full length, hard but not uncomfortable. From this position, lying flat, the walls of the courtyard rise up around you, framing the sky, creating a rectangle of stars above you. The view is different from this angle, more dramatic somehow. The walls creating a sense of being at the bottom of something, of looking up from within rather than across. The stars seem more distant, perhaps, or perhaps they seem closer. It's hard to say. They shine steadily, unchanging, their light traveling across vast distances to reach your eyes in this moment. You close your eyes, just resting, just being still on the warm stones. With your eyes closed, you're more aware of your body, of the way the stones support you, of the slight pressure points where your shoulders and hips and heels touch the surface. You're aware of your breathing, the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the air moving in and out of your lungs, warm air, still air, peaceful air. The warmth from the stones seeps into your back, into your entire body, deep penetrating warmth that seems to melt away any remaining tension, any tightness, any discomfort. You feel yourself sinking slightly, not literally sinking through the stones, but sinking into relaxation, into rest, into the perfect peace of this moment. Time becomes meaningless as you lie there. You might lie for minutes or hours. It doesn't matter, doesn't make any difference. The night is long or short or eternal. The courtyard remains around you, protecting you, holding you in its peaceful embrace. The stars continue to shine, the water continues to reflect them, the stones continue to radiate their gentle warmth. Eventually, you open your eyes again, seeing the rectangle of stars above you, seeing the walls rising around you, seeing the depth of the night sky. You sit up slowly, feeling the slight stiffness from lying still, feeling it fade immediately as you move. You stand, your bare feet on the warm stones, and walk back to where you left your footwear. You slip your feet back into your sandals or shoes, feeling them familiar and comfortable, though your feet had enjoyed their freedom, their direct contact with the ancient stones. You stand beside the pool one more time, looking down at the water, at the perfect reflection of stars, at the stillness, at the clarity. The water has remained completely still while you were lying on the stones, has had time to settle into perfect smoothness. The reflection is flawless now, each star perfectly mirrored, each point of light doubled, the sky and its reflection creating a symmetry that is pleasing, that is beautiful, that speaks to something deep in your mind about balance and harmony and rightness. You walk slowly to the arched doorway in the wall, the one that leads to darkness beyond. You pause at the threshold, standing in the arch, looking back at the courtyard one more time. The pool lies still and star-filled in the center. The walls rise pale and protective on all sides. The pots hold their plants in quiet patience. The vine spreads its pattern on the wall. Everything is exactly as it should be, exactly as it has been for a long time, exactly as it will continue to be. Turning, you step through the archway into the passage beyond. The passage is short and dark, but not frightening, just dim, a transition space between the courtyard and whatever lies beyond. The walls of the passage are close on either side, cool and smooth, and you trail your fingers along one wall as you walk, feeling your way through the darkness. The passage opens onto another courtyard, smaller than the first, simpler. This courtyard has no pool, just smooth stones on the ground, a few pots with plants, walls on all sides. A single bench sits against one wall, dark wood worn smooth by use and weather. The moonlight fills this space too, though the moon itself is still not visible, just its light, its gentle silver glow. You cross this smaller courtyard, your footsteps quiet on the stones. The space is peaceful, like the first courtyard, but different, quieter perhaps, more austere, more simple. There are no decorations here, no vines on the walls, no pool with reflected stars, just stones and walls and the quiet night air. Another archway opens in the far wall, and you move toward it, walking slowly, in no hurry, just moving through these connected spaces, these ancient courtyards that flow one into another, creating a maze of peace and stillness in the warm night. Through this archway, you find yourself in a third courtyard, this one with a small tree growing in its center. The tree is not large, perhaps young, perhaps just naturally small, with a slender trunk and spreading branches. The leaves are dark in the night, rustling very softly, so softly the sound is almost imagined, just a whisper of movement in the still air. You walk to the tree and stand beneath its branches, looking up through the leaves at the stars beyond. The leaves create patterns against the sky, dark shapes with the bright points of starlight showing through, and the view is beautiful, peaceful, endlessly interesting. The trunk of the tree is smooth and cool when you rest your hand on it. The bark is thin, almost papery, and you can feel the life beneath it, the slow movement of sap, the gradual growth that continues even at night, even in stillness. The tree is alive, patient, doing what trees do, growing, breathing, existing quietly in its courtyard home. You lower yourself to sit at the base of the tree, your back against its trunk, your legs stretched out on the warm stones. From here, you can see the archway through which you entered, and beyond it, in the darkness, the suggestion of the courtyard you just left. The courtyards are connected, you realize, a series of spaces that flow into each other, each one separate but part of a whole, each one peaceful in its own way. The stones beneath you are warm and comfortable. The tree trunk supports your back, cool and solid. The air wraps around you, warm and still. The silence fills your ears, rich and complete. The stars shine above, brilliant and eternal. Everything is peaceful, everything is calm, everything is exactly as it should be. You close your eyes, just resting, just being present in this moment, in this place. Your breathing slows, deepens, becomes nearly imperceptible. Your body relaxes completely, every muscle loose, every tension gone. Your mind quiets, thoughts fading like ripples on water, leaving only calm, only peace, only the deep, restful stillness of this warm night in these ancient courtyards. The night continues around you, endless and gentle, holding you in its peaceful embrace. The courtyards remain, silent and still, connected by their archways, each one a space of peace, of rest, of quiet beauty. The tree above you grows imperceptibly. The stars wheel slowly across the sky. The stones radiate their gentle warmth, and you sit at the base of the tree, breathing slowly, existing peacefully, part of the stillness, part of the silence, part of the warm and ancient night that seems to go on forever in its gentle, unchanging way.